Hello friends, welcome to the 7th part of the best games of Paul Morphy series. The game which we are going to look at will teach us very important concepts related to the opening play, because this game was finished in just 20 moves. Well, before we go further, I would like to tell you that there are 3 important principles in any opening. If you follow those principles, then you can say that you will play any opening in a good way. The first important concept is like developing your pieces as quickly as possible. And second important concept is like controlling the center. Okay, you should always try to control the center with your pawns or the pieces which you are going to develop. And third important concept which you should never forget is like you should keep your king safe. King safety is the most important concept in any opening. If you neglect your king safety, then you will be in trouble, and that is what exactly happens in this game. The player who is white in this position, like in this game, James Thompson, succumbs to the defeat because he did not pay attention to his king in the center. He keeps his king in the center. He does not castle when it was the time, and that's why he gets punished. So we'll see what happens, how Paul Morphy wins this game with a nice play in the opening. So the game starts with e4. In this game, James Thompson is white, Paul Morphy is black. So after e4, e5 is played, then knight to the f3, knight c6. Well, both the players are developing their pieces and protecting their pawns and everything in the center of the board. As I told you, you should control the center. So this e4 and e5 pawns are controlling the center, and also they are developing their knights towards the center of the board. So here white plays bishop to the c4, again developing a piece. As I told you, rapid development of pieces is very important. So black also plays bishop to the c5. Both the players are hitting the weak points on f2 and f7. Well, on the chessboard, if you see, this f2 and f7, these two squares are always weak because they are supported by only the king. Okay, so we should pay attention to these squares in the opening play. So white plays d3, supporting the pawn on e4, as well as the plan can be to develop the bishop on g5 at any point. So black plays knight to the f6, developing the knight and also intending to castle on the next move. Here white plays knight to the c3. Well, here black can simply castle, there is nothing wrong in it, but Morphy decides to play h6 in this position. Well, after h6, what he is doing? Well, there are two things which he is doing. First of all, he is stopping his opponent's pieces from coming on the g5 square, so that there will not be any piece, or the knight will also not jump on like attack on the f7 square. And another thing which will be there in the future, which he has planned on this move, we'll see what will happen. He is making some square for his piece. I will not reveal it right now. Stay tuned for that thing. So here white should have castled in this position, or he can even play bishop to the e3. That is something. Developing a new piece on every move is very important. You should always try this thing. Develop a piece means new piece on every move. Okay, that will help you in creating a good plan also, and it will also help you to bring the pieces as quickly as possible in the game. But his opponent played the same piece which he has already developed in this position, that is the knight on c3. He plays to the e2 square. Well, this is clearly not so good move. You should not play your pieces again and again, especially in the opening, okay, when it is not necessary also. So black plays b6. Now he wants to bring the bishop out in this position. White plays c3. He wants to play d4 at some point, or maybe d4, b4, dislodging this bishop. Okay, but there is something flaw is there, because e4 pawn will be under attack. That is one thing. And here black should not worry about anything. Morphy understand that thing. Morphy plays castle, just going to the safety with his king, and also bringing the rook in the game. Now the rook which was sitting on the h8 square, now he is in the game. Well, here white should have castled in this position, trying to play cool in this position, keeping the king safe on the one side of the board, because black has also castled in this position. So the king which is already there on g8 means black's king. White's king will also be there safe on the g1 square, because it is unlikely that Morphy will open up the position on the king side and try to attack. Well, it will not happen such things. Well, in this position, white plays h3. He is also trying to block these things, means this bishop to come from c8 to g4 square, but that is really not necessary in this position. He should castle. Well, now as I was mentioning earlier, Morphy wants to play something else in this position. He prepares for that breakthrough. He plays king to the h8. Well, what is he really doing in this position? Well, yes, you are right. He wants to play f5 at some position, and the move which he played earlier, this h6 move, will be handy now, because this knight on f6 will move to the h7 square and make a room for the f pawn to come to the f5 square. And now you can see that, well, white can castle obviously in this position, there is no problem. But the thing is, after knight h7 and f5, black will be creating some kind of counterplay on the king side, or you can even say the attack also. Here white should have understood that thing, that black wants to play f5, and one move comes up in your mind, that is the g4 move, which looks a little bit risky, but actually it is a okay move. You can go for the knight g3 and you will be having good control on the f5 square, because your knight, these two pawns will be controlling the f5 square. But it's kind of unlikely to play g4 because it is the opening and you don't want to open up your position where your king supposed to be castling. So he plays knight to the g3. This was his idea mainly behind knight to the e2 move, because he wants to go to the g3 so that he can jump to the f5 square, or maybe he can keep a good control on the king side. Well, after knight to the g3, Morphy continues with his plan. He plays knight to the h7, and after knight to the h7, white plays queen to the c2. Well, this is a very sneaky move, very cunning move, because what black wants to do in this position, like he wants to play f5. Well, Morphy played f5, but white's idea is little bit tricky. What he wants in the position is like, after e into f5, he is expecting Morphy to capture on f5, because it will lead to a trap. That trap is, after knight into f5, rook into f5, you can see that there is some attack, indirect attack on f5, and after d4, white will win the piece, because the bishop on c5 as well as the rook on f5 is being under attack, and there is no way that black can save both the things. Okay, well, in this position most probably he needs to play rook into f3, and well, he can play like this obviously, but I will say that this position will surely be preferable from white side. And this trap, he did not go for it. Morphy did not go for anything like this. He understood what is his opponent's idea. After e into f5, however, he plays a nice move, which is d5 move. And after d5, what he is doing? Well, he is attacking this bishop on c4, and also he is threatening e4 on the next move. And after, let's see, he played his bishop to the b3 square, and now after e4, the knight on f3 is under attack, the pawn on d3 is also under attack. So he plays d into e4, d into e4, and now this knight was moved to the g1 square, which was not at all necessary in this position. Well, white should have been a little bit brave, because Morphy has played e4, but that was not necessary in the position. White can play queen into e4, but he was a little bit afraid of black's move, that is rook to the e8. But he failed to understand bishop to the e6 was a good move in this position, and white should be fine, because even if it's captured, he will capture it back, and well, black might win the pawn back on e6, but by that time he would have castled, and I will prefer this position playing from the white side. Well, what was there for black in this position was like, he should have just simply captured the pawn on f5, because there is no such threats in this position. But he played e4, and after d into e4, white played knight g1. Again, he is underdeveloping his piece on the g1, and this is really a bad move. And now Morphy comes up with a good move. He centralizes his knight on the e5 square. Whenever you can centralize your pieces, that is a good idea, because you can exert a lot of pressure on your opponent. You will control many squares, like knight d3, knight f3, knight c4. These are all important squares, and especially in this position, if you see, the d3 square will be very important. Well, in this position, white is almost in a very big trouble, because let's suppose you capture the pawn on e4 now, then knight to the d3 check, king to the f1, and knight into f2. We will be winning the rook on h1, as well as the queen on e4 is under attack. And after, let's suppose this move, we'll just capture the rook, knight into h1, and this is clearly winning, because if you play knight into h1 in this position, then you can see that this file is open, and after bishop into f5 or even rook into f5 should be winning for black. So this is not something which white would like to do in this position. So he thinks that okay, here I can play bishop to the e3 and neutralize the attack on the f2 square. But black is not going to slow down. He plays knight to the d3 check, king to the e2, and now Morphy plays a simple move, that is bishop into e3, f into e3, with the idea of playing queen to the h4. And this is a nice move because now okay, the knight into e4 is something which he played in the game, but if he plays something passive move like knight to the f1 in this position, then queen to the f2, king d1, and queen f1 will lead to a check and mate. So obviously white did not go for it, but he played knight into e4 in this position, but that is also not going to help him because after queen into e4, queen into d3, thinking that the position might be simplified after queen into d3, that dreams will never come up because Morphy played queen into g2 check and the rook on h1 is going to fall. Well, here there are final few moves which happened in this game. King to the d1, bishop into f5. Again, this rook is coming in the game, is going to attack the king, and queen e2, and finally Morphy played queen into h1 and he won the game in a very simple and nice way. So we can understand many things from this very nice and simple game, that it's very important to castle in the position whenever it is possible, especially in the opening, because your king should be safe and you should not give control to your center control to your opponent. I hope you will understand these things and you will apply these things in your game also. And if you enjoyed this game, please do share it with your friends. And if you are not subscribed to my channel till now, do subscribe. We will be meeting with some interesting games and interesting concept in the coming videos. Till then, bye, take care, thank you.